In the dead of night, under a moonless sky in the Gulf of Aden, 250 Somali pirates launched what they thought would be the heist of a lifetime. It was September 16, 2025, and their target, the USNS Guadalupe, a massive U.S. Navy fleet replenishment oiler carrying over 8 million gallons of jet fuel destined for an American aircraft carrier strike group. Racing across the waves in 30 high-speed skiffs, armed to the teeth with RPG-7S, AK-47s, and DSHK heavy machine guns. They believed sheer numbers and surprise would overwhelm the lone tanker, but they had no idea they were about to collide with the unyielding force of American naval power. This wasn't just a piracy attempt, it was a declaration of war on the high seas. And the response would be swift, surgical, and devastating. What unfolded next wasn't a skirmish. It was a masterclass in modern warfare, where technology, training, and resolve turned the tide against overwhelming odds. Stick around as we break down the shocking battle, hour by hour, and reveal how a ragtag pirate fleet met America's full fury. 3:30 a.m., September 16, 2025. Gulf of Aden, 120 nautical miles off the Somali coast near Ale. The sea was a black mirror, broken only by the faint wake of the USNS Guadalupe as it steamed steadily toward its rendezvous. On the bridge of the nearby escort, the USS Laboon, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, radar operators stared at their screens in disbelief. What started as a cluster of blips, dismissed at first as fishing vessels, quickly resolved into something far more sinister: 30 fast-moving boats, closing in at 35 knots. Intelligence intercepts had warned of increased pirate activity, but this was unprecedented. Over 250 men, organized into assault teams, led by the notorious warlord Khalid Kaddour Abdul Rahman. Rahman wasn't your typical opportunist. He was a calculating strategist who had amassed a fortune from ransoms, funneling millions into a black market arsenal. His pirates weren't starving fishermen, they were battle-hardened militants, equipped with Soviet-era RPGs, belt-fed machine guns, and even shoulder-launched anti-air missiles smuggled from Yemen. Contrast that with the American side. The Guadalupe, a civilian-manned military sealift command vessel, was no warship, but she wasn't defenseless. Flanked by the Laboon, and soon to join, the Ticonderoga-class cruiser USS Philippine Sea, replacing the outdated reference to Cape St. George for accuracy. The task force represented the pinnacle of U.S. naval engineering. Captain Michael Harris on the Laboon, a seasoned officer with tours in the Persian Gulf, knew the stakes. One hit on the tanker's fuel compartments could trigger a chain reaction. An explosion, rivaling 30,000 pounds of TNT, turning the Gulf into a floating inferno and disrupting global shipping lanes that carry 10% of the world's oil. As alarms blared across the decks, Harris's voice crackled over the intercom. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. The pirates, emboldened by past successes against merchant ships, had no clue they were up against a force designed for peer-level threats. The stage was set for a clash that would expose the pirates' fatal overconfidence, smoothly transitioning from detection to engagement. The first wave hit at 4:20 a.m. The skiffs fanned out like a wolf pack, engines throttling too full as they encircled the Guadalupe. Gunfire erupted, tracers arcing through the darkness, RPG warheads hissing toward the tanker's hull. The first rocket struck the stern, crumpling metal and igniting a brief fire that the crew's damage control teams extinguished in under 2 minutes. But the intent was clear: board the ship, seize hostages, and demand a ransom that could top $50 million. Pirates shouted war cries over the roar of waves, their boats weaving to evade return fire. On the Laboon, .50 caliber machine guns thundered to life, their rounds chewing through wooden holes and sending splinters flying. The Philippine Sea, alerted by distress signals and closing from 5 miles out, added its phalanx CIWS close-in weapon systems, spewing 20mm tungsten rounds at 4,500 per minute. In those chaotic minutes, the contrast was stark. Pirates relying on chaos and volume of fire, versus the Americans' precision and coordination. A pirate skiff, attempting a ramming maneuver, disintegrated under a hail of bullets, its crew pitched into the churning sea. Another launched an RPG that grazed the Laboon's bridge, shattering glass and wounding 3 sailors with shrapnel. But the crew didn't flinch. Medics patched them up on the spot while gunners kept firing. By 4:50 a.m., 11 pirate boats lay in ruins, oil slicks spreading like blood in the water. At least 50 pirates were down, either killed or clinging to debris. Yet, the swarm persisted, with 19 skiffs pressing the attack, their leaders radioing for reinforcements from shore. Harris, scanning the horizon through night vision binoculars, realized this wasn't ending at sea. "We need air support," he ordered, "and prepare for a land strike." The battle was evolving, pulling in assets from across the region, and the pirates' lair was about to become ground zero. As dawn's first light crept over the horizon at 5:10 a.m., the sea battle intensified. Smoke from burning skiffs hung heavy in the air, mixing with the acrid scent of gunpowder. The remaining pirates, now down to 180 fighters, regrouped for a second wave, their ammunition expenditure staggering. over 60,000 rounds, fired in the first hour alone. But the U.S. forces were adapting seamlessly. The Laboon's 5-inch Mark 45 gun pivoted, lobbing high explosive shells that detonated amid the pirate formation, creating geysers of water and wreckage. From above, an MQ-9 Reaper drone, launched from Camp Lamanier in Djibouti, America's sole permanent base in Africa, just 800 miles away, provided real-time intel, its cameras capturing every move. Here's where the storytelling hooks you. Imagine the pirates' shock as Apache helicopters entered the fray. 3 AH-64E Guardians, rotors thumping like war drums, swooped in low, their 30mm chain guns ripping through boats with surgical accuracy. Each Apache carried 1,200 rounds, plus Hellfire missiles for hardened targets. Behind them, CH-47 Chinooks ferried SEAL team elements. 120 elite operators geared with M4 carbines, night vision goggles, and breaching explosives. The transition to counteroffensive was flawless. While naval guns held the line at sea, the helos targeted the source. Drone footage revealed the pirates' coastal stronghold near Ra, a fortified compound with warehouses bulging with 15 tons of arms, 200 RPGs, and fuel depots fueling the assault. Khalid Rahman, monitoring from his command post, barked orders into a satellite phone, unaware his empire was crumbling. His network, funded by $40 million in ransoms and shadowy backers in Iran and Yemen, had transformed Somali piracy from hit-and-run tactics to near-military operations. But against us special forces, it was no match. At 6:30 a.m., the raid began. Apaches strafed the beach, Hellfires slamming into boat launch sites, exploding in fireballs that lit the dawn sky. SEALs fast-roped from Chinooks, moving in fire teams to breach the perimeter. Gunfire echoed through palm groves as militants fought back, RPGs streaking harmlessly past thanks to countermeasures. Inside the compound, the contrast framed the chaos perfectly. Pirates scrambling with outdated weapons, while SEALs cleared rooms with flashbangs and suppressed fire. One team uncovered crates of Chinese QBZ-95 rifles and Iranian mortars, evidence of international arms trafficking. Another rescued for hostages, including 2 U.S. merchant mariners held for weeks. A fierce firefight erupted near the main warehouse. A truck-mounted DSHK spat 600 rounds per minute until an Apache's missile reduced it to scrap. By 7:15 a.m., the SEALs had planted charges. Detonations ripped through the site, collapsing structures in a cascade of dust and flame. Over 80 pirates lay dead, 50 captured, their leaders fleeing into the bush. But the story doesn't end there. As helicopters extracted the teams, intelligence from captured devices painted a darker picture. Bank transfers linking Rahman to Houthi proxies in Yemen, suggesting this attack was part of a broader effort to destabilize shipping. The U.S. wasn't just reacting, it was dismantling a web. Back at sea, the Guadalupe, scarred but intact, continued her mission. 9 American sailors wounded, none fatally, a testament to training. The pirates, their fleet decimated, 170 total casualties, and their coastal base in ashes. Transitioning to the aftermath. By 8 a.m., the Gulf was calm again, but the implications rippled far. This wasn't the piracy of old. It was hybrid warfare, blending criminal enterprise with geopolitical sabotage. In Washington, briefings highlighted the need for vigilance. If 250 pirates nearly succeeded, what about state-backed threats with drones or submarines? The battle sent a clear message. Touch a U.S. vessel and retribution follows to your doorstep. Yet, as the sun climbed higher, questions lingered. Who really funded Rahman? And is this the end, or just the beginning of a new era on the high seas? The echoes of that 3:30 a.m. ambush would reshape naval strategy for years. In the wake of the September 16, 2025, ambush, the world watched as the U.S. Navy's decisive victory over 250 Somali pirates redefined maritime security. But to truly understand the shocking battle that unfolded at 3:30 a.m., we need to dive deeper into the prelude, the intelligence failures, the geopolitical and the human stories that turned a routine refueling mission into a high-stakes showdown. Contrast the pirates' opportunistic bravado with the Navy's methodical preparedness, and you'll see why this wasn't just luck. It was the culmination of years of anti-piracy evolution. Let's rewind to the days leading up, then fast forward through the land raid's gritty details, uncovering layers the headlines missed. This is more than a tale of bullets and boats. It's a warning about the fragile line between chaos and control on the world's oceans. Flashback to September 10, 2025. In the dimly lit Ops Center at Combined Maritime Forces headquarters in Bahrain, analysts pored over satellite imagery and SIGINT reports. Whispers of a major pirate operation had surfaced weeks earlier, tied to Khalid Qadar Abdul Rahman's syndicate. Rahman, a former Somali National Army deserter turned warlord, had risen from the ashes of the 2011 famine, building an empire on ransoms that exceeded $100 million since 2020. His funding, a shadowy alliance with Houthi rebels in Yemen, who supplied arms in exchange for disrupting Western shipping. Part of Iran's proxy playbook to choke the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, U.S. intelligence knew Rahman was arming up, but underestimated the scale. 30 skiffs, each crewed by 8 to 10 fighters trained in basic tactics at hidden camps near Al. They practiced boarding drills on captured dhows, simulating attacks on tankers like the Guadalupe. Smoothly shifting to the American perspective, the USNS Guadalupe's crew, 35 civilian mariners under military sealift command, were veterans of the Gulf's perils. Captain Elena Vargas, a no-nonsense leader from San Diego, ran tight drills on fire suppression and small arms defense. Escorted by the USS Laboon, commanded by Captain Michael Harris, the group was part of Carrier Strike Group 5, en route to support operations against Houthi drone swarms in the Red Sea. Harris, with his crew of 280, had the Laboon's arsenal primed harpoon missiles, torpedoes, and a suite of electronic warfare tools. But the real edge, integration with the broader U.S. network, drones from Djibouti high-lows from the USS Abraham Lincoln nearby. The pirates saw a fat target. The Navy saw a trap waiting to spring. As we transition back to that fateful night, the 3:30 a.m. detection phase highlighted the tech gap. Pirates relied on GPS jammers and low-tech radios. The Laboon's, an SLQ-32 system, pierced the jamming, while AESA radars tracked every skiff. When the blips multiplied, Harris alerted 5th Fleet HQ in Bahrain. Hostile contacts inbound. Request air assets. Within minutes, the MQ-9 Reaper was aloft, its electro-optical sensors beaming live feeds to command. Contrast this with Rahman's men, hyped on cat and promises of riches, charging blindly. Their first volley at 4:20 a.m. was a barrage of RPGs and machine gun fire aimed to intimidate and overwhelm. One rocket punched through the Guadalupe's superstructure, sparking a fire that Vargas's team doused with foam, saving the 8.2 million gallons of JP-5 fuel from becoming a mushroom cloud. The sea fight's intensity built like a crescendo. Pirates divided into 3 groups, one to distract the escorts, another to board, a third as reserves. But the Laboon's gunners, using FLIR targeting, shredded the disasters. 7 boats sunk in the opening salvo, 40 pirates lost to the depths. The Philippine Sea, steaming in from the south, unleashed its Mark 38 25mm chain guns, adding 3,000 rounds to the fray. A pirate skiff, closing to 100 yards, fired a shoulder-launched missile that the Laboon's chaff decoys fooled mid-flight. Shrapnel rained down, injuring 5 sailors, but medics stabilized them amid the din. By 5 a.m., the water was a graveyard of flotsam, with 90 pirates' casualties. Yet Rahman's voice crackled over captured radios. Press on, brothers, the infidels bleed. Here's the hook that pulls you in. As the sun edged up at 5:10 a.m., the battle shifted gears from defense to offense, exposing the pirates' vulnerability on land. Drone intel pinpointed Bara Rahman's fortress, a maze of concrete bunkers, ammo dumps, and hostage pens amid scrubby dunes. 15 tons of weapons, including 200 RPGs and 40,000 gallons of diesel, fueled his operations. Harris, conferring with SEAL commanders via secure link, greenlit Operation Tidal Fury. 3 CH-47 Chinooks, loaded with 120 SEALs from lifted off from Camp Le Monnier, escorted by AH-64E Apaches. The helos hugged the waves to evade radar. Arriving at 6:45 a.m., the land assault was a study in precision versus pandemonium. Apaches opened with hellfire strikes on fuel depots. Boom! A 40,000-gallon fireball that scorched the beach and blinded defenders. SEALs rappelled in, splitting into squads. Alpha to secure hostages, Bravo to demo arms. Charlie for Rahman. Gunfire cracked as militants, 150 strong, poured from huts with the Ks blazing. An RPG grazed a Chinook, but the pilot evaded. In the warehouses, SEALs found horrors. Crates of Iranian EFPs, explosively formed penetrators, and Chinese-type 56 rifles. Plus, ledgers showing $50 million in Bitcoin transfers from Yemeni accounts. Alpha team breached a shack, freeing 6 hostages, 2 Americans, emaciated but alive, under covering fire. Contrast framed the melee. Pirates fighting fanatically but disorganized, versus SEALs disciplined room clearing. A DSHK nest pinned Bravo until an Apache's 30mm cannon, 1,200 rounds ready, turned it to confetti. Rahman, spotted fleeing in a Toyota Hilux, was cut off by Charlie's squad. A brief chase ended with his capture, alive, for interrogation. By 7:30 a.m., charges detonated. Warehouses vaporized, sending plumes skyward. 90 pirates dead, 60 zip-tied and hooded for extraction. SEAL casualties. 2 wounded by shrapnel, treated en route. The Chinooks lifted off at 8 a.m. Mission accomplished in under 90 minutes, smoothly flowing into the broader fallout. By noon on September 6, the Guadalupe limped to port in Djibouti for repairs, her fuel intact. New catastrophe. Total US wounded, 11 sailors and SEALs, all expected to recover. Pirates, 180 killed or wounded, 70 captured. their fleet obliterated. Interrogations revealed Rahman's ties to Iran's IRG Quds force, using piracy as asymmetric warfare to strain U.S. resources amid Red Sea tensions. In Washington, the Pentagon briefed Congress. This attack tested new doctrines, like drone swarm integration and rapid SOF deployment. Admiral Lisa Franchetti, Chief of Naval Operations, stated, "We turned a potential disaster into a deterrent." But the real story's depth lies in the human element. Take Petty Officer Jamal Reed on the Laboon, hit by glass shards. He manned his gun until relieved. Or hostage survivor Mark Thompson, a mariner from Texas. "I thought it was over until I heard those helos on the pirate side. Many were coerced youths from famine-struck villages, pawns in Rahman's game." This contrast underscores piracy's roots: poverty, instability, and foreign meddling. Post-battle, the U.S. ramped up Atalanta patrols with EU allies, while Somalia's government raided remnant camps. As we wrap this epic, questions burn: was this isolated, or the spark of escalated hybrid threats? With China eyeing African ports and Russia arming proxies, the oceans are a chessboard. The 3:30 a.m. swarm failed, but it awakened vigilance. America's Navy proved unbreakable, sending ripples from Aden to the Arctic. If this grips you, dive deeper. Subscribe for more untold sagas of valor at sea.